Welcome to my world once again. It's another time, another period. Right now, we are used to my popular slogan, health is wealth, knowledge is power. Now, the topic is as simple as ABC, the implication of laboratory results. Laboratory results are so many. The tests available in the lab is uncountable. While trying to count up, I could even see over 1,000. But there are important tests that is so common that even some of us do at home. From time immemorial, pregnancy test has been an area where people want to do. There are other tests these days that are just rapid test kits that you use and do it at home. Well, what are the implications of those tests, the results you get? That is what I am trying to expose today. So come with me as we go through the slides and we have a deeper knowledge of the implications of laboratory results. Let's start with the outline. The outline, basic implication of omitting standard practice. What is the essence of laboratory test? What is homeostasis and its relationship to laboratory tests? Basic categorization of laboratory tests and departmentalization, an overview of popular laboratory tests and their implications. So, basic implications of omitting standard practices. The implication is that aspect I shall be starting from so that we can understand the implication of the various results we get. Basically, all laboratory results have so many tests that have been performed which are not declared. But one result has passed through so many tests. And those tests are what are highlighted here. When you omit the standard practice, what kind of results you get? The implication is that you are going to get a false result. So let's look straight away. The element of a good result is quality assurance. You are now talking in terms of the quality of the result, which encompasses both internal and external quality controls as standard practice. The quality assurance has been defined by WHO as the total process whereby the quality of laboratory reports can be guaranteed. It has been summarized as right result at the right time on the right specimen from the right patient with result interpretation based on correct reference data at the right price. We can now move on to laboratory tests. Yes, I mentioned that laboratory tests are over 1,000. It's so looking as if it's not real. But when you now factor in all the tests you have to do, called the pre-analytical tests, these are things you have to put in place before commencing the test itself. Even hemolysis alone, if a patient is supposed to collect a fasting glucose, for example, and the patient has overfasted, the result will be affected. Or the patient has eaten, the result will be affected. So these are part of the implications of the result. The analytical stage is when you do the test proper, and the post-analytical test, you are talking of the results, the clerical recording, and the timeliness of that result. The third is, this is one of the implications that may work against do-it-yourself kits and why you are required to confirm your results. Because basically, when you do not observe all these three aspects of every test, being a do-it-yourself, you don't know the implication of pre-analytical control. Things you have to do, analytical things that you must observe, and post-analytical. So all you did is just do it yourself. So the result needs to be confirmed if it's positive, and if it's negative too, and you may not be sure that what you did is correct. Once in a while, that result has to be sent for proper confirmation. Then reference laboratories even authenticate these 3 laboratories. It shows the understanding of the implications, because you cannot just believe that even the lab setup, not do it yourself this time. Then we talk of it must show international laboratory best practices. And the rapid, the implication is that whatever result you manage from the lab, you have the belief that it is the true reflection of the deviation or whatever of what is happening in you. And so it must be of high standard, reproducible, and reliable. Let's go further into the other outlined issues. What is the essence of laboratory tests? Yes, you may want to know why this noise about laboratory tests. The laboratory tests are those things that will eventually give you the results. But the essence of laboratory tests is to verify the present state of health of the individual being tested, to check for changes in some basic parameters, which are intrinsic, basic parameters that are intrinsic. It serves the purpose of confirmatory diagnosis, when you have to confirm that the results, whatever was screened for, is exactly what is happening. Whatever you suspect, that is. The monitoring of health status, screening to rule out certain variables, and specific other purposes. We now go on to what is homeostasis and its relationship to laboratory tests. Homeostasis is a state of balance when you are at ease among all the body systems needed for the body to survive and function correctly. Once there is a deviation from the normal value of these body systems or certain micronutrients or substances in the body, then the balance is disrupted and the patient is no longer at ease. That is the disease state. And that is what the laboratory confirmed, the cause of that disease. So let's move on to basic categorization of laboratory tests and departmentalization. We can understand departmentalization, that there are so many departments, but let us take it systematically. Qualitative analysis of collected specimen. When you're talking of qualitative analysis, you are talking of things that you do not really measure in terms of concentration, or you want to be specific about the quantity. So it has to do with colors and what have you, comparing colors and what have you. Example is these, when you use the Eurosticks to test urine, you can imagine you do these sticks and the color changes are what you look. You to say the specific graffiti, to say the WBC present, and other things that are in the urine. This is also pregnancy test. You don't know the quantity, but you just come out to say that this is positive because it has 2 lines, color development, not exactly that you know the quantity, and you can say exactly what period it is. And this is Ben Jones. This is semi-quantitative. It's not totally qualitative, because here you are now eating to 60 degrees. It's not, the turbidity is the qualitative aspect, and above that 60 degrees you get 100 degrees centigrade, but you don't know the quantity of benzoate protein in that urine. This is the quantitative analysis of collected specimen. And we have departmentalizations. Example of departments could be hematology, biochemistry, microbiology, histopathology. You could also have molecular biology and other departments. The quantitative analysis, you are now under specific graffiti alone. you can see that you can say exactly the quantity. This specific gravity has this value, 1.020. So that is where you now use it to say this is exactly the specific gravity of the urine sample. And these are other tests you could do using the spectroscopy, the fluorescence spectroscopy. You could do electrophoresis and get the quantity, exact figures, the exact quantity of those values you are looking for. And you can also use the cobas as well as all these other machine equipment that are modern, state of the art, that are more improved and could test even up to ions level, the sodium and the potassium, as well as other hormonal acids. Popular laboratory tests and their implications. This is just to move on to that implication that has been emphasized. Let's look at the blood cells. Normally, this is a very popular area. Every blood contains exactly what is written here, apart from the plasma, but the particles or the solid inside it are just the components which makes it very red is the red blood cells called erythrocytes, and that you can calculate the quantity so that if your erythrocyte, it carries the oxygen, and very well, this oxygen is involved in respiratory function, that it helps to create energy, and without oxygen to all the cells will die. So it performs a very great function. And so when you are able to determine the quantity of red blood cells, or the hemoglobin content of the red blood cells, or the etheric state, that is the ionic state, or even the vitamins that are present that makes up the folic acid that makes it up or lacking, especially in the sickle cell patients. This is the test done. So the implication of all these red blood cells analysis is to know the state of the red cells. These are monocytes, all together called white blood cells. The monocytes, the macrophage, the monocyte, the lymphocytes, the neutrophil, eosinophil, basophil are all together called white blood cells, while this is the red blood cells. So you can find out what is amiss. When there is deviation in any of these, is always found in complete blood test, that is full blood count, complete blood count, CBC, and the platelets are what you get involved in coagulation to stop bleeding of patient in case there is a situation like that. So you can understand the implications of what the result you are getting. But the test done, for example, red blood cells could be mean cell volume, to know the volume, mean cell hemoglobin concentration, the packed cell volume, the hemoglobin estimation, and the ion estimation. So many tests are done. This is one of the instruments, but I call it instrument, or things that you use to count the white blood cells, the red blood cells, those days. But these days you have equipment that can do everything together, all the values that I've just mentioned. So, but to do it specifically, you can do it like using all these smaller equipment. This is the area of parasitemia, where you have malaria parasite. You can see the red blood cells I've just spoken about is circulating, but this is the red blood cells being attacked by merocytes that are coming from the liver, where the malaria parasite has multiplied itself in the liver cells. And then the merocytes now go to form the ring form, which is this. And usually it goes back to infect the liver cells again. But
The common ones in West Africa, that is Plasmodium falciparum, it doesn't go back. It immediately forms the gametocyte, the microgametocyte, so the male and female, which are picked up by the. So when we look at the films or the effects, when you see all this, these are what the result will present. The implication is what is inside your red cells. So when you now see the red blood cells having these parasites, it is reported. And that is one other aspect. This is also the cerebrospinal fluid. When there is suspicion of meningitis, the fluid is collected and tested. You do the chemistry and serological analysis, the culture and sensitivity testing, and the hematological studies. All these may come out as one result, that the patient has meningitis or he doesn't have. But the number of tests that are done for one result, it's at times uncountable. But when you look at the laboratory forms, you will be seeing some listed tests to make the pathologist or the whoever wants to interpret the result to be able to form a strong opinion about what the present state of health of the patient is. So the result really confirms the state of health. And this is another one that results that you can do under pathological study. These are the gram stain. When you gram stain, it's a test. But all these together comes out as either a study of what is causing the infection, urinary tract infection, and or other areas. It could be genital organs and co. So, but by the time you look at all this, you put the result out, then you form an opinion that yes, this is the one causing it, and you do the antibiotic study to really know the drug of choice that will kill them. Then to conclusion, on the application of results. Screening test is not diagnostic but presumptive. It could be a false positive result. So when you screen normally to just look whether the patient has certain ailment or not, it is just to a preemptive or presumptive test to say at this age or recommended that you do certain tests every year so that you know your present value. If there is a situation of being at the borderline, then there is a concern to go for re-diagnosis or for the patient to be cautious and reduce, take control of value derangement. Then the diagnosis, that is where it is confirmatory, which is this diagnosis that can be monitored. Because when something is diagnosed as having, somebody is diagnosed as having a certain diseases, how the person gets out of it, or the situation does not get worse than what it is. So the implication of the diagnostic result is as I stated. Then monitoring and evaluating progress in treatment is also another aspect of the implication, because when the result is out, you can use it to monitor the last value. How has this patient really improved, so that we can celebrate progress in treatment. There is also result could be used for researches and even for evaluation. So the implication is when you are doing it so well, you can imagine that will now form the basis of whatever recommendations that will be made from research, because your results will now be collated